Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle is directed by Jake Kasdan and stars Jack Black, The Rock, Karen Gillan and Kevin Hart. Jumanji tells the story of a group of 4 kids who are all from completely different backgrounds and areas of this one school. However, one day they are all brought into detention together, which leads them to uncovering this mysterious video game called Jumanji. They boot it up, choose which characters they're going to play as, and they are instantly sucked into this video game, and they are appearing as the characters and the avatars that they chose in real life. And that is a pretty ridiculous story, but there it is. So this movie is very interesting. This is actually, and I'm going to go out here and say it, this is the first very good video game movie, and it's not even an adaptation of a video game. That is saying something. If a movie like this can be pretty good, then I don't think video game adaptations have any more excuses. I mean, obviously we've got Tomb Raider coming up, we've got Uncharted coming up, but obviously we'll see how they go. I think Tomb Raider looks okay, but then when you look at Jumanji, which isn't even an actual video game adaptation, and it's this good, I think there's definitely some competition there. This movie mainly stars The Rock, and The Rock is very good in this. Most of the actors in this film play characters who they would not typically play, which makes this a really fun take on these actors. So The Rock, for example, plays this really insecure, scared, nerdy kid, even though he looks like The Rock, you know, an absolute monster of a man. And then you have Karen Gillan, who plays... Karen Gillan doesn't really play against type as much. She's more a typical female badass, similar to how she kind of is in Guardians of the Galaxy. But her character in the film is a socially awkward nerd, kind of like The Rock's character, and that leads to some developments. Then you have Kevin Hart, who basically plays Kevin Hart. His character is supposed to be kind of like a football, American football jock, and you know, he's this big, muscular guy, and then he gets transported into Jumanji, and he turns into little Kevin Hart. And of course, there are plenty of jokes to do with Kevin Hart's size. So many to count, but what can you expect in the Kevin Hart movie these days? That's just what you're gonna get. And then we have Jack Black, who is easily the standout in this film. Jack Black plays a typical high school Instagram model, you know, teenage girl. Very popular kind of thing. So you have Jack Black, who is obviously a pretty plabby man who is trying to play a very popular sort of 16-year-old girl. It's very entertaining, very different, and he's easily the standout in this film. I haven't seen Jack Black give this good of a performance in a while, and I can't really think of anybody else who would do that role any better than Jack Black did, so full credit goes to him. Now, I think the whole world of Jumanji was really cool and really well set up, because there's plenty of moments in this where it references video games straight up. And I'm not talking about specific video game references, I'm talking video game tropes. For example, each character, you would have seen this in the trailer, this isn't a spoiler. In the trailer you see that each character has a tattoo along their left arm which shows that they have 3 lives, which is obviously a typical 90s retro gamer trope. And you see that, and it's a really cool idea. It's an idea that plays into the film, so you know, if they die more than 3 times, they die in real life. And that's a pretty interesting concept, and one that does actually make sense in this nonsensical story. So it was a cool way to add some sort of tense and some tension and some sort of stakes to the film without taking away from the fun and silly nature of it. It was a really smart way of doing it. Also, you see many other characters, like side characters in Jumanji, who actually, you know, they're very much like NPCs, non-player characters in video games, as they don't act like normal humans, obviously, or normal computer-controlled characters, as they play as if they are computer-controlled characters. So they sit there and they repeat the same dialogue again and again and again. And, you know, as somebody who loves video games and plays video games, this is something that obviously you will pick up on, and it's just very, very funny. So is there any video game references straight up? Not really, there are a couple. I mean, for example, The Rock's character, in his bedroom you see plenty of posters. I won't spoil what they are, just in case you are a video game fan, you want to keep your eye out for those, and I definitely recommend doing so if you are. But there are plenty of posters that reference many video games that, you know, if you're a fan of a certain genre or a certain area of video games, you'll definitely be pleased. And that is really cool, you know, for a movie like this that is basically kind of a celebration of video games in a way. It's a cool way to you know, just kind of treat the fans by saying, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this, and here's some fan service for you. It's just a cool little way of doing it. So there is a villain in this film, and he is played by Bobby Cannavale. I think that's how you say it. I haven't got the name in front of me, but he's the guy. He's that guy from Ant-Man. You know, the Dick Dad. That guy. It's played by him, and he's okay. I mean, he's a pretty standard action film villain. He's just a very generic, very bland character. He did have a cool design. I'll give him that. You know, I'll give the film that. His design was very cool, and some of the things that they have going on with him in terms of his design was actually something I've never really seen before, so that was kind of cool, I suppose. But his performance was just very dry, very bland, and I feel they could have picked anybody else to play that role, just because, like I say, it was a very generic role. It doesn't stand out, and he's not even in the movie that much, so you kind of just forget about him, because the movie doesn't focus on like this heroes versus villains thing. It's, you know, you just focus on the heroes. You don't really care about this villain at all, and that's a shame. I kind of wish that they would have perhaps played on him a bit more, gave him a bit more to do, but I guess that is hard to do when you've got such a big star cast with your heroes, so I suppose they just wanted to focus on the correct thing, but it just would have been nice to give Bobby Cannavale's character just a bit more development to make us actually feel like he was a bit of a threat. Speaking of the action in this film was actually very well done. I think Joe Kasdan did a very good job directing this film. I mean, the action's not outstanding, it's nothing, you know, you haven't seen before, but the way he's able to capture all the action and the way he's able to capture it all with the camera, everything is always in frame, you always see everything. It's a very good way of capturing the action, and I liked the way he directed it. I liked his style, and also the action itself, it's good, you know, it's fine, there's nothing particularly outstanding about it, like I said, but it does provide the action you need for a film like this, and I think that is all you can really ask for in Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. So, what do I think overall of Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle? Well, I think overall it's a pretty good film. I didn't really expect it to be good. I remember when the trailer came out, I thought, yeah, that's something I would enjoy, but it's not something that's actually going to be that great in reality. But in all actuality, it's actually a pretty decent film. It has a lot of good moments to it. Now, yes, it does have a lot of tropes in terms of, like, the villain is very, very generic and you don't care about him, and not all the jokes land, considering how this is supposed to be a comedy. The jokes are pretty good overall, but sometimes they don't land. But I feel that it has so many positives, with the cast being so well acted and just the way they're able to play against type, which is a phrase you'll hear a lot when you watch Jumanji reviews, but the way they were able to just play against the type that normally play and play completely different characters was not only fresh for us, but must have been fresh for them. And that was a really nice touch. And also, like I say, all the video game kind of references and video game tropes that they play off of and actually create movie plots based on them is really cool and really nice for any video game fans actually watching the movie, such as myself. I think the movie is a lot of fun. Definitely go watch it. Obviously, if you haven't seen Star Wars already, then go watch Star Wars. But if you're going to choose between Jumanji or Pitch Perfect, I think Jumanji's probably going to be the better option there, just because this film is going to provide a lot more laughs and it's going to be a lot more fun and a bit more over the top, which I think is a lot more favourable these days. So therefore, I think Jumanji is a pretty decent film on the whole. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you did, and please subscribe to the CineChat channel to see more film reviews and more film features from both myself and, of course, Nick White. Also subscribe to see our podcast, which we release every single week, if we can, and we release those every single week. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. Give it a like if you did. Tell me in the comment section below what you think of Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, and make sure you stay tuned to the channel for all things film and TV.